Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Chio. So today I want to tell you a story where you, me, everyone we know, and all 8 billion people on this planet just vanish. Not dead, not a war, not a virus, just gone. Poof. Every human everywhere disappears in the same instant, tonight, while the coffee's still warm on the counter. And the question I couldn't stop thinking about is this: how long would it take the Earth to erase us, to scrub away every trace that we were ever here? The answer is going to surprise you. Because some of what we built vanishes almost overnight, and some of it will outlast the human race by longer than our entire species has existed. So stay with me. This one is wild. Let's start the clock. Hour 1. You're gone. And here's the first thing that happens: nothing dramatic. The lights stay on for now. Power plants keep running on whatever fuel is already loaded. But without you, nobody's shoveling coal, nobody's adjusting the flow at the gas turbines. Within hours, the first plants start shutting down. Within a day or two, most of the power grid goes dark across the world. And the moment the electricity dies, something you never think about begins. The water starts to rise. See, cities like New York sit on top of a secret. Underneath the streets, there are pumps, thousands of them, running day and night, pumping out the groundwater that constantly tries to flood the subway tunnels. In New York alone, those pumps push out around 13 million gallons of water every single day. The second they stop, the water creeps back. Within 36 hours, a day and a half, the subways of New York are completely flooded. Your morning commute becomes an underground river. Now think about the animals. In the first few weeks, this is grim, so brace yourself. The animals most dependent on us are the ones who suffer first. All those chickens, cows, and pigs trapped in industrial farms. Without anyone to feed them, most won't make it. And our pets, 1 billion dogs and cats suddenly with no one to open the door. The small lapdogs, the ones we bred to be helpless, they struggle. But the bigger, tougher breeds, they form packs. They go feral. They remember how to be wolves. Give it a few generations, and the dog as you know it starts to disappear back into something wilder. This whole thought experiment, by the way, isn't just me daydreaming. It comes from a journalist named Alan Weisman, who wrote a book back in 2007 called The World Without Us. He went around asking engineers, biologists, and scientists one simple question: if we vanished, what happens next? And what he found is that the story of our disappearance is really the story of nature taking the keys back. Fast. So let's jump ahead. 1 year later, the seasons have turned once without us, and already the wild is moving in. Plants don't wait. Seeds blow into the cracks in the sidewalks, and with no one pulling weeds, those cracks become gardens. Vines climb the sides of skyscrapers. In the temperate cities, your Londons, your Chicagos, the first winter without heating is brutal on the buildings. Water seeps into every crack. It freezes, it expands, it splits concrete apart. This is the beginning of the end for everything we made. Now here's where it gets scary, and it's a real place you can look at right now. Chernobyl. In 1986, a nuclear reactor exploded in what's now Ukraine, and the nearby city of Pripyat was evacuated. 50,000 people left and never came back. So Pripyat is basically a small-scale preview of a world without us. And what happened there? The forest ate it. Trees are growing through the floors of apartment buildings. Wolves, bears, wild boar, and rare Przewalski's horses roam the streets. A scientist named Timothy Mousseau has spent decades studying that zone, and while the radiation absolutely harmed the wildlife, the shocking part is that with humans gone, the animals came flooding back anyway. It turns out we were more dangerous to them than the radioactive fallout. Let that sink in. Okay, 20 years out, 2 decades of silence. Your house, the one you're maybe sitting in right now, is probably gone or going. Most modern homes without a roof being maintained don't last more than a couple of decades. A leak becomes a hole. A hole lets in the rain rots the wood collapses, and nature just moves in and redecorates. The cities take longer, but they're losing too. Steel is the secret weakness of the modern world. Every bridge, every skyscraper, every elevated highway was held up by steel, and steel has one mortal enemy: rust. We spend enormous amounts of energy every year just fighting corrosion, repainting, reinforcing. take us away, and the rust wins. Within a couple hundred years, many of the great steel bridges we're so proud of will groan, weaken, and fall into the rivers below. Let's push to 300 years. Now the skyline itself starts to come down. The famous engineering feats, the ones we thought would stand forever, begin to buckle as their steel skeletons corrode from the inside. Lightning strikes start fires with no fire department to stop them, and whole blocks burn. The tallest towers eventually pancake down into piles of rubble that the forest quietly swallows. If you flew over Manhattan in the year 2300, you might not even recognize it as a city. You'd see a forest with strange rectangular hills. And here's the twist. While the buildings crumble in centuries, some of the things we made barely notice the passage of time at all. Plastic. Oh, plastic. That water bottle you might be holding? Scientists estimate it could take 450 years just to begin breaking down, and even then it doesn't disappear. It shatters into microplastics, tiny fragments that will drift through the oceans and the soil for thousands of years. Long after our cities are forests, our plastic will still be here, ground into dust, mixed into the rock. Future geologists, if anyone's around to be a geologist on Siam, would find a thin, strange layer in the earth marking the exact moment humans existed. And then there's the truly permanent stuff. Let's talk about the things that make you go, wait, really? Mount Rushmore. Those giant presidential faces carved into granite? Granite erodes at a rate of about 1 inch every 10,000 years, which means those faces will still be recognizably staring out over an empty America 7 million years from now. 7 million. To put that in perspective, our whole species, Homo sapiens, has only existed for around 300,000 years. Those carved faces will outlast us more than 20 times over, and it gets bigger than that. The gold. All the gold humans have ever mined, all of it, still sits around as a nearly indestructible metal. And our radio signals, every song, every broadcast, every wait, are you recording? They've already left the planet, expanding out into space at the speed of light, a bubble of human noise that will keep traveling essentially forever. Long after Earth forgets us, a distant star might still catch an old radio broadcast drifting by. Now here's the part that really got me. What about the damage we did? The carbon dioxide, the climate change. Does that heal? Slowly. Painfully slowly. A climate scientist named David Archer wrote a book called The Long Thaw. And his research shows that the carbon dioxide we've pumped into the atmosphere doesn't just vanish when we do. A big chunk of it lingers for thousands of years. Some of it, a stubborn fraction, will still be affecting the planet's temperature 100,000 years from now. So even in a world with zero humans, the fingerprint of what we did to the air stays pressed onto the climate for longer than recorded history has existed. The Earth recovers menacem, but on its own slow, patient timescale, not ours. So let's zoom all the way out. Let's ask the real question. How long until the Earth is truly, fully healed? Until you genuinely couldn't tell we were ever here? The forests come back in a few hundred years. The animals rebound in decades. The rivers run clean again within maybe a century once the pollution stops flowing. The dangerous radiation from most of our reactors fades over thousands of years. The carbon in the air settles over 100,000. And the very last physical traces, the microplastics, the carved mountains, the strange chemical layer in the rock, those could linger for millions of years, faint whispers of a species that was here and then wasn't. But life doesn't need us at all. That's the humbling truth. The planet has survived 5 mass extinctions. It survived an asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. It has bounced back every single time, and each time it took a few million years and then exploded into new forms of life more incredible than before. Compared to all that, humans vanishing is barely a hiccup. Within 10 million years, in a blink in geologic time, the Earth would be lush, teeming, wildly alive, with brand new species we can't even imagine, and almost no sign that we were ever the ones running the show. Anyway, that's the story. We started tonight with everyone vanishing in an instant, and I asked how long it would take the Earth to erase us. And the strange, almost beautiful answer is this. The world doesn't need to fight to recover from us. It just needs us to stop. The moment we step back, the water rises, the vines climb, the forests return, and the planet gets on with the business of being alive. exactly like it did for billions of years before we showed up. We always talk about saving the Earth, but the Earth was never the fragile one in this story. We are. And maybe that's the real thing worth remembering the next time you look at a city and think it'll last forever. It won't. But the green stuff pushing up through the sidewalk crack, that's the part that's truly eternal. I'm Chio, and I'll see you in the next one.